Netra TV, Nezatin Nirkam.
Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant evening and a very warm welcome to the National News broadcast on Rupavahini. I'm Delanjali. Joining me is Niket Karunaratne. And these are the top stories which have made headlines for tonight. The impact of air pollution gradually recedes. Heavy showers and strong winds occur in northern and eastern sea areas. Imported milk powder price increased. Local milk powder price unchanged. A statement is issued stating that electricity bills cannot be increased as wished by the rulers. The World Health Organization says corona pandemic was an obstacle to control malaria. Now for those and other stories in detail on your top story. National Building Research Organization says that the impact on Sri Lanka due to air pollution in New Delhi will gradually recede.
A special holiday was declared today for all government and government-assisted schools due to the prevailing climate condition. The National Building Research Organization said that the air pollution reported from the country yesterday has reduced to a certain extent at present.
In Sri Lanka, but in today morning we have seen that the air pollution levels are getting remarkably reduced. At the moment we have air quality in most of area in good air quality with respect to the US air quality index, and the urban area we have moderate air quality. That is normal situation in this period of the country. We have some good and the moderate air quality in urban area. At the Colombo as well, at the moment we have moderate air quality in Colombo areas and all other urban areas in Sri Lanka. So don't be fear to this situation. Now it is almost over, but depending on the weather condition and this wind pattern, there may be some changes time to time, but we are in alert with these things, and if there is any dangerous situation or any critical situation, we will give our views through the mass media. But at the moment, don't be fear, and we are in now safe levels.
According to satellite data, by this afternoon, Gampaha town had hit the highest level of air pollution with an AQI index of 161. The AQI index of Ambalanthota is 139, while being 134 in Jaffna and 132 in Ratnapura. AQI index of Colombo district is 120. The figure shows an increase in the afternoon when compared to the morning. The AQI index of Kandy is 119 and in Dambulla it is 41. The AQI index of Colombo city has reduced down to 92. It is 97 in Gampaha and 90 in Kandy.
These days in Sri Lanka, also there's an unexpected issue with this air pollution, especially some wind coming through the India leads to increased air quality index. The air quality index is a measure that gives some idea about the quality of the air. This value, if it's more than 150, it's suggestive of it can be hazardous to people. Especially this type of situations, there are a few vulnerable groups, especially small children, older generation, the pregnant woman, and people with underlying long-term diseases, especially respiratory diseases, chronic respiratory diseases, maybe asthma or children in children or adults, or in adults COPD-like conditions. When they exposed to these pollutants, especially these contain various toxic gases as well as small particles. If the particulate matter less than 2.5, the smallest particles can enter into the respiratory system, especially the lungs, and might lead to various issues. But we expect this situation is a temporary thing and completely settle within few days. If it's a long-term thing, that can be an issue for especially patients with underlying diseases. So as healthcare people, we advise, because this is unexpected and unavoidable situations, as much as possible avoid exposure to this environment, external environment. Usually during weekends we tend to go outside, but during this weekend it's better to stay at home as much as possible, especially children and people and children with long-term diseases. And if they want to go outside, it's better to wear a proper mask, high quality mask, and we have to wear it properly. Most of the time we see currently some people wear masks, but definitely a majority they don't wear it properly, because now we are mainly focusing to prevent the gases and small particles enter into our respiratory systems. For that, the mask fitting should be very well, and the quality of mask also should be very well. Especially it should cover both nose and the mouth. Other thing is, if a child or a patient is already on some long-term treatment for long-term diseases, for example inhalers for asthma, we have to continue those inhalers even the child or the person does not show acute symptoms, because some of these conditions, some of these changes, especially in the breathing tubes, might persist. Without medical advice, don't stop, because if they exposed to this type of adverse environment thing, noxious gases and these dust particles, there is a chance of increasing their symptoms or developing acute attacks. So as much as possible avoid exposure, and if it's difficult to stay at home, or if it is essential to go outside during these days, wear a proper mask properly.
Now, India's financial capital Mumbai has been witnessing very poor air quality in recent days. For the second consecutive day today, the Mumbai Air Quality Index was worse than the capital New Delhi, which is frequently engulfed by bad air.
According to BBC News, India's capital Delhi usually makes headlines for having dangerous levels of air pollution during the winter months. But Mumbai, which has a vast coastline and is considered to have better air quality, overtook Delhi pollution levels several times this week. Mumbai has joined a growing list of Indian cities that have bad air. Experts say rapid construction, adverse weather conditions and increasing pollution from vehicle emissions are some of the factors responsible for the deterioration air quality. The level of PM 2.5 fine particular matter that can clog lungs and cause a host of diseases was 308 in the city on Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. local time, compared to Delhi's reading of 259 according to government's data. Levels between 200 and 300 are considered poor, and any reading between 300 and 400 is categorized as very poor. Many Indian cities, including Delhi, Kolkata, Kanpur and Patna, often report PM 2.5 levels well above the safe limit.
Now, the Met Department says that the cyclonic storm Mandas could move through the northern Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and South Andhra coast via the southwest Bay of Bengal. The department said that strong winds and rains can occur in the sea areas of the northern and eastern shallow and deep areas to this impact. Sea waves from Kankasanthre to Mullativ to Trincomalee can rise up to 3.5 meters, which can come ashore. The Met Department informs fisheries and naval communities not to enter at deep seas off Pothuil coast from Mannar to Kankasanthre, Trincomalee to Batticaloa via Pothuil. The department has informed those who are engaged in fisheries activities in those areas to come ashore immediately. Now, the severe cyclonic storm Mandas will cross in the southern Indian coast between North Tamil Nadu and South Andhra Pradesh in a few hours from now. Around midnight today, India's meteorological department says Mandas has been weakened due to the level of a conventional cyclone. The severe cyclone was spinning away on a path located 280 kilometers north of Trincomalee and 230 kilometers northeast of Jaffna. In Sri Lanka, on this evening, authorities deployed nearly 400 disaster relief personnel in Tamil Nadu state and urged people to stock up on essentials and be prepared to move to shelters as Cyclone Mandas approached. India's NDTV reported that a heavy rain alert has been issued in the southern state, and schools and colleges have been shut in 12 of its districts, including the state capital, Chennai.
Now, Milk Powder Importers Association says a decision has been taken to increase price of imported milk powder. The association contributed the hike to the increase in social security tax and packaging material. Milk companies said that the price of local milk powder will not be increased despite the hike in imported milk powder price. Meanwhile, Lanka Sattasa has reduced prices of 3 essential goods to provide relief to the people in the festive season. A kilogram of kirisamba has been reduced by 10 rupees. The new price of a kilogram of kirisamba is 215 rupees. A kilogram of big onions has been reduced by 16 rupees and its new price is 199 rupees. A 425-gram canned fish has been reduced by 35 rupees. Lanka Sattasa said its new price is 495 rupees.
Now, State Minister Shehan Singh says that Pakistan's Finance Minister Muhammad Ishaq Dar assured Pakistan's fullest support to Sri Lanka at all times. State Minister Shehan Singh called over on Minister Muhammad Ishaq Dar recently in Islamabad during his visit to Pakistan to participate in the Sustainable Development Goals Forum. The two ministers discussed the impact of global economic challenges all countries are facing across the region and the way forward to overcome them. The State Minister said that the importance of a collective regional approach to reduce the economic and various global challenges faced by the countries in this region was also discussed.
Now, the Value-Added Tax Amendment and Inland Revenue Amendment bills were passed in Parliament today with amendments. A division was called for the third reading for the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill by the opposition and 82 votes were cast in favour of the bill and 41 votes were cast against the bill. A division was also called for the third reading of the Inland Revenue Amendment Bill by the opposition. 79 votes were cast in favour of the bill and 36 votes were cast against the bill. The two bills were passed with a majority and with amendments. Accordingly, the amended Revenue Act will come into effect from the 1st of January 2023.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena held discussions with the ambassadors of the member countries of the European Union at the Temple Trees. The Prime Minister briefed them on the steps taken by the government with regard to establishing economic, social and political stability. The ambassadors of Germany, the Netherlands, France, Romania and the EU ambassador to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Zeni Chaibi, attended the briefing. Secretary to the Prime Minister, Anuradhi Sarnaika, also attended the meeting. The Supreme Court decided to hear fundamental rights petitions filed by 5 persons engaged in the struggle, stating that their fundamental rights were violated due to the assault on Golf-Face struggle area on the 9th of May.
Accordingly, the court issued notices on the respondents to make submissions before the court on 22nd of June. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, parliamentarians Nama Rajapaksa, Sanat Nishanta, Johnston Fernando and Prasanna Ranathinga, Western Province Senior DIG Deshapandu Tennakon, IGP and a group of persons have been named as respondents. The petitions were taken up today before Supreme Court Justices Vichita Malalgoda and Janak De Silva. After a lengthy study, the judge bench announced that permission would be given to hear the petitions. Now, a protest has been launched outside the Chinese embassy today in Colombo against the recent statement made by Batticaloa district parliamentarian Shanakian Rasamanikam in Parliament. Speaking in Parliament this week, parliamentarian Rasamanikam questioned the right of the Chinese embassy to comment via Twitter posts about his statements made in the Parliament of Sri Lanka. The protest was launched today, showing support for the Chinese embassy with holding placards condemning parliamentarian Rasamanikam's statement.
Now, the Ceylon Electricity Engineers Union says that the electricity bill cannot be increased as wished by the rulers according to the Electricity Act. During a media briefing today, the union charged that the rulers made the Electricity Board an unprofitable institution which was profitable earlier. The chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Engineers Union, Nihal Veera Singh, has said that if the revenue and expenditure cannot be matched, it can be done by getting the approval after submitting it to a regulatory commission. The The Regulatory Commission has to consider the requests made by the union and the consumers. According to the prevailing law in the country, rulers cannot change the electricity bill according to their wishes. There is a conspiracy to place on state officials the incidents such as disruptions to electricity supply and increasing the charges. The Public Utilities Commission has introduced a charging system preventing losses. The Commission has informed the Electricity Board the measures to be taken. They have instructed to impose a power cut of 3 hours. The Minister has assured to provide fuel at a fair price. However, the Public Utilities Commission could not do what they said. A heavy expenditure for fuel incurs to generate electricity. Attempts are made to generate electricity at low costs. The rulers have not given an opportunity in this regard. The revenue and expenditure should be balanced. Now, in further news, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has emphasized the importance of maintaining the country as a strong state in political, defense and economic sectors.
The President mentioned this during a degree awarding ceremony in Colombo. The 16th convocation of the Defence Services Command and Staff College at Nelumpukuna Mahinda Rajapaksa Theatre in Colombo under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The Defence Services Command and Staff College is considered as the highest military educational institute for the middle grade officers of the 3 armed forces. Military officers of other countries are also undergoing training at the college. 149 officers who successfully completed the 16th course were awarded with the degrees. Apart from Sri Lanka, officers from India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Maldives, Oman, Uganda, Senegal and Zambia were awarded degrees. Addressing the ceremony, President Ranil Wickremesinghe pointed out it is important to act by looking into the future.
The main battle is not with armed forces. It's economic, cultural and technology. As China develops its economic power and is using its economic muscle to enable it to develop relations, trade relations with a large number of countries in Asia and Africa. So it's basically an economic area where China came in because there was a vacuum. Others were not there and they came in. And they develop the links and strengthen their relations with others. So in this is the effort of the US, of how do you ensure your own superiority, that it's not challenged, it's not overtaken. Other countries which have lined up accordingly to see how the balance of power can be maintained. So you have the Quad on one side, because as far as the Indian Ocean is concerned, it hasn't got the hub and spokes concept of the Pacific Ocean. So we are different. Large number of countries not aligned to anyone. In this process of the rivalry that goes on, we have to ensure the transfer of wealth from the west to the east is not stopped. And the Asian economies and the Indian Ocean economies can develop fully. To do so, we have to ensure that there is stability in the Indian Ocean, that it doesn't become the center of big power rivalry. I don't think it has to be. The biggest confrontation that's taking place is around Taiwan and the states of Taiwan. So that is a different issue which concerns China and US and the status of Taiwan. As far as the Indian Ocean is concerned, there is no such issue. But as countries, as China and America all make economic inroads, look at economic alliances, not only in the Asian part, but also in Africa, there are points where there can be confrontation. What we are seeing is a new balance of power emerging. India as the largest military power, which seeks to take on the role and which has helped the country, other countries too, in times of disaster and is the net security provider. But you have on the Bay of Bengal, the development of the fleet and the aircrafts in Bangladesh and in Myanmar, the other Southeast Asian countries which carry their navies on both on the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. And Indonesia, which is now developing itself as the maritime fulcrum of the area, of the Indo-Pacific. So that's one military, you see, there is one group of nations which exercises their military power in the Bay of Bengal. Now this is completely different from the other side, from the West Indian Ocean. In addition to India, there's Pakistan with its navy, there is Iran with the Revolutionary Guards Navy, and the development of the navies of the Gulf countries, of UAE, which is really coming out into the Western Indian Ocean, which with the southern Yemen has got the best base areas to operate from. And the links of those from southern Yemen, Hadramaut province, would extend all the way even to Sri Lanka, India and Indonesia and down into Tanzania. So that's a valuable link. The Saudi Arabians, as you know here, who are building up their navy, Oman, we could see the development of navies on the Middle East. So there is another group of naval powers and players there, and Red Sea, which has all types of bases. You name a European country, that's there. Addition to China, Japan also being there. And the Horn of Africa, where the game is still being played, down to South Africa and East Africa, and across when the railroads are built, both to the Zaire as well as to Cameroon. So this is why we are important. And the growth of South Asia will be followed mid-century by the growth of Africa. So we are important. We are important. That we must remember. To be important, we must ensure there is no big power rivalry in the area. We may all not have big navies or big air forces, but all of us will have a lot of small ships, some very modern, some not so. Sufficient to ensure that we have a voice.
With that, we go for a short break. We'll be back with more news from home after this break.
நான் அந்த காலத்திலிருந்து நம்பிக்கையா கொடுக்கல் வாங்கல் செய்யற நண்பர் ஒருவர் இருக்கிறார்.
மக்கள் வங்கி.
மக்கள் வங்கியின் பரிணத சிரேஷ்ட பிரஜைகள் சேமிப்பு கணக்கு இன்றும் பழக்கமான இடத்தில் நிகரற்ற பாதுகாப்பு, உயர் வட்டியுடன் உங்கள் ஓய்வு காலத்தை மிகவும் நிம்மதியாக வசதியாக கழிக்க மேலும் அனுகூலங்களுடன் முன்னணி மருத்துவமனைகள், விற்பனை நிலையங்களில் நம்ப முடியாத சலுகைகள்.
எங்கட பிள்ளைகள் போல அல்லவா மரியாதை.
மக்கள் வங்கியின் பரிணத சிரேஷ்ட பிரஜைகள் சேமிப்பு கணக்கு உங்களை அறிந்த உங்களிடத்திலிருந்து.
Welcome back. Continuing with more local stories, the Sri Lanka Army's newly built weapons factory was opened yesterday at Wayangoda under the patronage of Army Commander Lieutenant General Vikum Liyanage. The factory was initiated in 2014 at the Horana Dombagoda Army Camp. The new factory was built at Wayangoda camp premises with the aim of increasing its production capacity according to the strategic plan of 2020-2025. The factory also produces many items, including official uniforms for the army. Earlier, such products were purchased locally and from foreign countries. The army expects to increase the production to meet the needs of the Navy, Air Force, police, state and civil organizations. The Sri Lanka Navy celebrates its 72nd anniversary today. Several programs have been implemented to mark the anniversary.
Ceylon Volunteer Navy was established by the Volunteer Navy Ordinance Number 1 of 1937. It became Ceylon Royal Volunteer Navy 1943. After the country received independence, Royal Ceylon Navy was established on 9 December 1950. When Sri Lanka became a republic, Sri Lanka Navy was established in 1972. The Navy became a fighting force with LTTE terrorist activities in the first decade of the 1980s. Sri Lanka Navy contributed to the victory of the humanitarian operation in 2009. The Navy has given its maximum contribution to strengthen the defence of the country under the guidance of the present President Ranil Wickremesinghe and with the leadership of Navy Commander Vice Admiral Nishantha Ulugatana. The display of ships has been organised off the Goa Face coast in connection with the 72nd anniversary of the Navy. 226 officers and 3,548 senior and junior naval ratings have been promoted to their next rank on the recommendations of the Navy Commander in connection with the anniversary. Now, a ceremony to mark the 110th year of launching aviation services in the country and 78 years of signing a Chicago Convention to regulate aviation services industry took place today at the Katunaka Aviation Services Authority's main office.
Now, the date of signing the Chicago Convention is considered as the International Aviation Services Day. The aircraft was used as a weapon in the First and Second World Wars. The Chicago Convention was signed preventing such incidents in future and to develop aviation services as an industry. Representatives of 52 countries signed it in Chicago on the 7th of December 1944 and Sri Lanka signed the convention on the 1st of June 1948.
And as far as the Sri Lankan aviation service is concerned, we have provided safe airports and aviation sky for all the international airlines to fly in and fly out. Nobody has made any complaints about that. So we are very proud of that. Being a small nation, we have been able to provide all that guarantees that anybody entering our airspace is safe, and you have airports which you can land and take off without any problem. We need some innovative thinking and innovative actions while not compromising with the safety of the passengers in air travel. And at the same time, I am very happy that a lot of your younger people, they are interested about flying, about the history, as well as engage in innovative constructions, innovative methods with regard to the civil aviation and aviation industry. Promote the budget airlines also. That is what has been done. If you go to Europe, you can get a budget airline very free to fly from London to Switzerland, London to France. So why don't we make it available from here to Madras or to Buddha Gaya? So we have to change those policies. Then only the people in this country will feel that the airline industry has looked after them.
May I invite the Director General of Civil Aviation and the CEO.
Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has appreciated the support given by the International Lions Club to uplift the skills of local youth.
The President mentioned this during a meeting with the Chairman of the International Lions Club, Brian Edward Shehan, at the Presidential Secretariat today. The President thanked the support given by the Lions Club to establish a vocational training centre at Biyagama area, enabling the youth to contribute to the economy using their creative skills in order for Sri Lanka to become a developed country by 2048. The President expressed his gratitude for organising programs to prevent illegal drugs usage and alcohol by the youth. Mr. Shehan appreciated the support given by the President for the activities of the International Lions Club and thanked the President's contribution for the forum, which will be held on the 11th to enroll 6,500 members for Leo clubs. The Chairman of the International Lions Club presented a memento to the President, who is holding membership of the International Leo and Lions Club for 33 years.
Veteran singer Nuwan Gunawardena has passed away while undergoing treatment at Sri Jayawardhanapura Hospital due to a heart attack. He was 73 years of age when he passed away. He was born in Mathura, Madiwata area and became a popular playback singer for films. Among his popular songs are Kirimuhudu Verale and La Sanda Eliye. The late singer is a father of 2 children and his remains are lying in his residence in Patiragoda, Nalandarama Road. The funeral is scheduled to be held on Sunday afternoon at Maharagama Godigama Cemetery. And that's a wrap of local news. We'll be back after this short break for foreign news. And on foreign news, the coronavirus pandemic has interrupted efforts to control malaria, resulting in 63,000 additional deaths and 13 million more infections globally over 2 years, according to a report from the World Health Organization.
Cases of the parasitic disease went up in 2020 and continued to climb in 2021, though at a slower pace, the United Nations Health Agency said in its World Malaria Report 2022 released yesterday. About 95% of the world's malaria infections and deaths last year were in Africa, and just 4 countries, Nigeria, a Democratic Republic of Congo, Niger and Tanzania.
And in further foreign news, Saudi Arabia and China have reaffirmed their cooperation on the global oil market and the principle of non-interference in internal affairs during a visit aimed at deepening strategic relations, at a time when Washington's ties with Riyadh appear increasingly frayed. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Saudi King Salman signed a series of strategic deals, including one involving Chinese tech giant Huawei, since the official state visit began on Wednesday. In a joint statement today, the two sides said they exchanged views regarding ways to reinforce and develop comprehensive strategic partnership relations between the two countries.
The quarter-final rounds of the FIFA World Cup 2022 begins today, and there'll be 4 matches played in this match, and the first will kick off between Brazil and Croatia.
Now, this match will be played at the Education City grounds in Qatar. Croatia has met Brazil 4 times in World Cup history, and Brazil has won thrice during these encounters.